Catch Go was going downhill until Karl stepped in as CFO.
There is nobody who has changed the world of bait and tackle in the 21st century as much as Karl.
If tournaments were won by enthusiasm alone, there's no doubt that Karl VonDibble would be world champion year after year. While he doesn't bring home many trophies, there's nobody who works harder than Karl. You may know Karl as the face of not only Mystery Tackle Box, but of Karl's Bait and Tackle. But many people all over the world know him as something else, the hero of the common angler. Join us tonight as we plumb the murky depths of the man many of us know on a first-name basis, Karl.
You know, I'm not sure when he showed up, but it feels like he's always been here.
I feel like I've known Karl longer than my entire life.
I think he'll be here long after us, like some sort of eternal trickster god.
We've all seen his face, the world-famous beard, the mischievous sparkle in his eyes, the steadfast waiters. But what's behind it all? What drives Karl VonDibble?
I sure would like to know why he does the things he does.
Karl doesn't have to answer to anyone but himself. And to baits. Dude does love his baits.
I mean, yeah, we've all seen Karl, but does anyone really know him? Like, what does he even do?
To truly understand Karl VonDibble, you need to walk a mile in his waders. And to do that, you have to go back to the beginning. Little is known about Karl VonDibble's tadpole years. We know he was born somewhere, I mean, that's simple logic, but there's barely a record of this guy. It's almost as if he simply walked out of the lake, fully grown, full beard, already wearing waders. But the first time we see Karl appear on record is when a 5-year-old somehow entered the Bassmaster Classic and got last place. He entered again the following year, giving himself a trophy for most improved after catching a couple of impressive hogs, real lunkers, absolute mondos, some real chonky bucket mouths. I mean, huge.
I'd never seen anything quite like it. Here was a little kid who bragged about being the champion magnet fishing angler of his kindergarten class. He walked right into the Classic like he owned the place. I saw him in the parking lot before the Classic signing autographs. He didn't even register or anything, and I'm pretty sure it's because he couldn't read. He's like 5 years old.
You hear rumors everywhere he went. He wouldn't take a bath unless there was a trolling motor in it. He turned music CDs into blade baits. He attended senior prom in waders. Now that's commitment.
Yeah, he was innovative for a little guy though, I'll tell you that. Although I don't think I've ever seen anybody fall off a boat so many times. Sometimes I think he was actually diving in head first after fish to grab them. He caught a limit that way once.
But like many prodigies, the onset of adulthood brought along some complications. Karl's passion took him down a dark path in his early 20s. Obsessed with baits, no store could possibly sate his thirst for new creative lures. So he turned elsewhere.
Look, everyone's had their share of hard times. Karl was just misunderstood. He had a taste for the finer baits in life, and there was no place on earth that could keep up with the variety he needed. I know what that feels like.
We don't know if it was a gift or if Karl accidentally went to the wrong mailbox. But everything changed when he discovered one of the very first mystery tackle boxes.
Yeah, I mean, things are always a bit slow when you start a new venture, and Mystery Tackle Box was no exception. But one day during a single 45-minute stretch, somebody ordered all of our inventory at once. At the time, I was thrilled. I should have known better. Back in the early days, we packed every box by hand in my garage, and I needed all of the help I could get. I honestly didn't think anything of it when a guy in waiters showed up to help out. I mean, he was passionate, like beyond passionate. So I figured we might as well put him in the video since he was doing all that stuff anyways. We would just let the cameras roll and just capture every action he would take.
The moment I met Karl, I knew he was going to be a star. I mean, here I was, a new employee at a company with a boring old regular CEO who can't seem to remember my name, so he just calls me Hat Guy. And then suddenly this waiter-clad legend walks in like he owns the place and put his boots up on a desk. We were instant friends.
One word to describe Hat Guy and Karl's relationship. I would say unhealthily codependent. No space. One word.
I think our biggest achievement was making Karl the CFO, or Chief Fishing Officer. From there, we launched Karl's Bait and Tackle, and we've continued our quest to help the common angler ever since.
Not gonna lie, Catch Go was going downhill until Karl stepped in as CFO. It was very generous of him to rescue Ross. He could have rode off into the sunset on his jet ski like the cool guy he is, but instead, he stopped to help out Ross in his rinky-dink operation. A real class act. I don't know what we'd do without Karl.
Do I think of myself as a sidekick? No, not at all. I mean, yeah, it's Karl's name on everything, and his face, and he's the CFO, but, what was the question?
Yeah, Karl can be a challenge. I mean, he once disappeared for 4 days and refused to answer his phone because he was afraid we'd take his secret fishing spot. And don't even get me started on the crankbait incident. I mean, sometimes his ideas are a bit, I guess you could say, unconventional. So I often have to rein him in.
What if all of the baits were free?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
100% off sale every day.
No.
Yeah, he can be a bit disruptive at times, but that's what it's like in an office. I assume. I haven't worked in any other offices.
Karl and Ross. They're such an unlikely pair. But when you put them together, that's when the magic happens. A perfect mix of unbridled enthusiasm and a brain custom-made for business. I'm not sure what Ross contributes. Without a doubt, there is nobody who has changed the world of bait and tackle in the 21st century as much as Karl. You may not agree with his tactics, but dang it, he gets results.
I can't imagine a catch go without Karl. I mean, maybe it'd be a little easier and I certainly wouldn't have to worry about someone stealing my lunch. But no, I think he's great. I think he's great. People think he's great. People seem to love him a lot, like a lot more than they love me. And my philosophy is really based around fear. I think most great CEOs are feared and not loved. And the stronger of an appearance I can bring, the more people fear me. And that's what makes me great. And I think anyone here would attest to that, right? Right? Right?
So, who is Karl? Well, he's just a man.
He's a force of nature.
He's a f***ing legend.
He's my role model.
He's the world's greatest fisherman.
He's Karl VonDibble. Bet you didn't think I'd be able to sneak into my own documentary now, did you? Now just remember, anything that Ross says, it's not my fault, okay? I can explain the crankbait incident, it's just a matter of perspective. Wait, did he mention the crankbait incident? Because if he didn't, don't worry about it. You don't need to. Whoops, gotta go. All right, tight lines.